Watch, it'll be headlines tomorrow. Donald Trump wants to break constitutionality.
We are now in a constitutional crisis.
The country is in a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. It's a constitutional crisis, okay?
Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. We are in a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Approaching a constitutional crisis.
Are we in a constitutional crisis?
We're hovering on a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
And I don't want to see a constitutional collapse along with a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. And a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Okay, but does the House Speaker agree? That'll be the question.
This administration wants to have a constitutional crisis.
They'll go crazy. See, he is a despot.
I'm just wondering if politically you think Democrats are taking a risk here of looking disingenuous.
I'm wondering when the point is when folks are saying we have reached the point of the boy and girl who cries wolf about this constitutional crisis.
Those people back there, I call them the fakers, fake news media. The fakers would have said he exaggerated. He exaggerated. They are a bunch of fakers, there's no question about it. But you know, in 6 years, they're all going to be out of business, folks. They're all going to be out of business. Now, if we want to drive them crazy, I'll say in 10 years, they'll go crazy.
Do it.
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump.
He will never be president of the United States.
Donald Trump will not become president.
You're not going to be president, all right?
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you. And I don't really get into predictions much, but this one I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president.
Okay. No part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Donald Trump is the here today, gone tomorrow candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.